Okay, so I'm forgetting where I was at now. So if I hold down V on my keyboard, I can snap to these individual vertices. Now you can activate a handle on your manipulator if you want to. Okay, and what that will do is it will, when you snap something, it will only snap on that axis, and that can be really handy. So this, if I look down here and I want this cube to match this distance of this vertex, I can activate this handle and then hold down V and middle mouse click and snap that cube to this Z axis location. I can do the same thing here, and I could snap it down. Okay, or I could hold down X with that handle active and snap it to the grid. So I know now that it's directly on the grid. Okay, now let's see if this still works. Maya used to do this. If you hold down, now if you don't want an active handle like this, sometimes that's annoying, you can just click in the center of the manipulator again. And you'll know you don't have any active handles if none of them are yellow. Okay, if I hold down C on my keyboard, then I can middle mouse, it will turn the center to a circle again of the manipulator, center of the manipulator. And I can middle mouse click on an edge, and it will snap to an edge or a curve. So if I create a CV curve real quick, I select my cube and hold down C for snapping to a curve. I had an active handle, so it did snap to it. It's having a little bit of trouble there. That's actually not normal. If I click in the center and hold down C, I can snap it to that curve anywhere you want to. This particular use of this is very, very useful for hard surface modeling. If you're trying to make an automobile, then you can draw CV curves to make the outline of it, and then you can snap vertices or objects to those curves. Okay. Now sometimes you want to snap an object, you want to snap, say, the base of this cube to the grid. And this is the last thing I'm going to show you. This is adjusting the pivot of an object. If you hold down D on your keyboard, your manipulator is going to change. You won't have arrows anymore. And what this means is you're going to change where your object pivots from. And this will be more self-explanatory here in a second. So if I hold down D and then I hold down X, I can snap where this object pivots from to the grid. Okay? Well, maybe more useful is if I hold down D and then V, then I can snap it to a vertice on the mesh. Or I could hold down D and C and snap it to an edge. So I'm going to undo that. I like to snap on a cube. If I want this box to sit on the ground, I hold down D, activate the Y handle by clicking on it, and then hold V, I can snap my pivot to the bottom of the box. Now why is that even useful? Well, now that the pivot is at the bottom of the box, if I hold down X after I click in the center of my manipulator to deactivate the handles, then I can snap my box to the grid. And now it's sitting directly on the surface. Much more precise than I could have done on my own. So maybe this is handy if I need to create a stack of boxes. I press Control D to duplicate it just now. If I hold down, and now that I move the pivot to the bottom of the box, I can hold down V and snap. Oh, I accidentally activated my X handle. If I hold down V, I can snap it, and now it's stacked up to on that box, right? Kind of handy. Also, if I scale it after I've changed the pivot, then it scales from that point. That also is very handy. Okay. So if I want to line this up in the center, I can hold down Control and click the Y handle and move it in my perspective view, that I know that it's restricted to that Y plane, and it's still sitting directly on top of that box. Okay, press Control D again. I can hold down V, and snap it up again, can scale it down, and now I'm very easily creating a stack of boxes. And I know that they're perfectly lined up. So that can be really handy. Okay, so again, to change the pivot of an object, you hold down D. And that will become a very useful tool. And that's the last of my tutorials for today. Oh, actually, never mind. One more thing. If I combine two objects, I forgot to show you this earlier. I got my hot box and I go to Mesh, Combine. Now you think these two objects are the same, but they're not merged. They're not sharing geometry. They're being treated like they're a single object. Well, let's say I didn't really mean to combine them, or I want to separate it at some point in the future. Then I can go to the Mesh menu and Separate. And now they're two separate objects again. Okay, so that can be handy. And I guess there is one more tool that I use, not real frequent, but if I go to Edge Mode, select an edge, then I can Shift right click and go to this Merge Collapse Edges, and this Collapse Edge tool. And that can collapse. It will get rid of an edge and merge the vertices at either end of it. So that's also pretty handy.